Shells.
Here.
Roland Carroll.
Here.
Roland Dewey.
Here.
Brian Morris.
Here.
Amy Rowe.
Here.
Keith Gidry. Martin Davis.
Here.
Okay, you can furnish with a copy of the regular meeting, the minutes of the regular meeting which is November 9th. Any corrections, additions, or deletions to those minutes as presented? If not, the chairman will need a motion to approve as presented. Moved by Roland, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, ALBL December conference, most of us attended. I think it was a very informative session. I missed a few of them because of problems that came up, but I thought it was a great meeting. We re-elected the same slate of officers for the coming year, and so I've got the report. Anybody, Wendell, you care to add to it?
Well, the only one thing I was a little bit disappointed in when the colonel got involved, was the most important thing and message out of Arcade High. It said that, well, that the hospitals around the world that they built, those big projects were good. Well, I think they got maybe 6 foot surge, maybe a 7. You know, against a $14 billion project. I didn't think that was very insightful. Okay. What was insightful was what happened to us. And so the only person we talked about that was Jason Kennedy. He said that second afternoon, and we're going to read his quote a little bit. We'll talk about it a little bit. But just a little bit disappointing.
Anybody else any comments about the meeting?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to executive committee. Keith is not here. Wendell will give the report.
Every year we get together and look at kind of planning the upcoming year, and it's just a guideline for us of the projects we think we can do, and of course subject to change all the time. It's not locked in, but with the money we have coming in, we think these are the projects we get done. And it's just in the packet.
Yeah.
You have to look World School Metal project. The D-North ramp, which we're about to start, so that's kind of in the works already. The Crawfish Pond flood wall phase 2, and we're going to have to officially transfer about 1.8 of bond money from the capital outlay from last year to that project, so we can move forward with that. The E-North phase 3. We have money for that, but we don't have enough money to spend a lot of money on the dirt and do the construction. So I've been talking to Globally. We have found an area, but there was a little problem that occurred. It's leased right now. Once we get it released, if they can get out of it, we'll start constructing that port. And you know, we've been preparing the port. That's the south-facing side of the port. This is the east-facing side, which is again below in some areas. And we can pretty much get it all done with the money we have available, about $700,000 from CPRA. But they have to provide a no-cost source of soil. And so if they can do that, we'll get started. We know the lease is going to end in September next year, but if we get started right now, we can actually have that most of that levy up by August of next year. So we'll just play that by ear. Section F berm. Work with CPRE, and we know the berm is low in a lot of areas. We know $1 million will make a big difference in improving the situation. But we've talked about $2 million as taking care of the problem, not have to worry about it for a number of years. If with the transfer from CPRE, we can actually have about $1.6 million to get that job done. So we'll take a look at that. The Rose football vessel barrier. We told the Corps when we were improving the wall and the rules, after Katrina, they didn't allow any work on the levee or wall along the waterway without some type of foreshore protection. And so we looked at, we're going to try and honor that by working on getting that barrier fixed this year. And for Ida, a dry dock actually got pushed into that area. And that's exactly what this wall is supposed to prevent. Now, you know, a dry dock, of course, doesn't have a beak or a point going out, where your big barges do have that, and big barge could come across, and not ground until after the heat has hit the wall. So,
Well, wow.
one bow. The slanted bow, instead of just a regular bow, which bottoms out before, so it's a big offshore with the hand of the waves. Then the navigational lock, we were told that we expect about $5 million in the CPRA budget. It hasn't come out yet. We checked, Chasson, Archie Chasson, myself, and I think we had all you with us. Chip kind of said that he was going to do that. We haven't seen it in writing yet. If we get that, then we'll have enough money to move forward on the lock and the rules. And then levee tool protection, with this tremendous amount of marsh that's been eaten up around the levee, it's obvious we're going to need to do more, either rock or riprap or plastic sheet pile. There's some tool protection along the levee because there's so much more open water. But you know, the terraces that were vegetated, they survived and they're there. The marsh projects we did, there was some damage, but they've done really well. So, but there's just a ton of marsh that got taken out, you know, all from the south to the north. I mean, a lot of it is going to be lost. My guess is, if you look at the rate of losing marsh we've been happening in the past few years, we probably lost a generation of marsh, you know, 20 years in one night. But you don't get 130-mile-an-hour winds and the waves that come with that very often. We're hoping that in the fresh areas, and we've lost the biggest chunk actually near Clover, if it stays fresh, it might come back. And you know, I haven't seen the numbers yet of how deep the water is, but even flow-tone marsh is better than open water. So maybe a large portion of that section, because you have to respond, keep it fresh, and might come back with a lot of benefit. Again, those are things we need to be ready to protect the tool and the levee if those things don't happen. And then as a second tier, you know, we finally get the permit to get the retention area done, but it sits kind of behind these, and again, we'll look at the budget. We still work, you know, we haven't got any rule on the property tax. And once we know what the property tax is doing, I did notice that the sales tax, this is the highest sales tax we've had ever, I can see, that's restored sales tax. So that's a reflection of the property being devalued because of the damage, but then the property tax is the repair amount. So we'll see how that plays out, and that will be helping get those projects done. And then the 80s berm, it's another berm area where it's low, and we need to do some improvements, but you know, the levee's still behind, and we looked at that as a tier 2 type project. But basically what the committee, we don't need any official word, it's a working outline for us as we go forward and see how our money plays out as we go forward. Any questions?
Thank you. Okay, anybody here in the audience for purpose of addressing the board? Seeing none, we move on to general manager.
The lights. Let's see if it works. The machine did not like our slides last meeting, so we'll see how this works out.
Beautiful flag.
All right. Well, starting off with the hurricane, and this is an absolute model showing after the storm. And basically, you're looking. Well, that was the bigger picture that basically showed that the energy was all around our area. And this is it. Here's Grand Isle, Port Fourchon, and South Lafourche. We took the brunt of it all. The red is showing, and we're showing that the most red, so this means above the 12-foot basic surge, but we had run up on the levee at 16 and 17 feet. Okay. No one came close. That's what I'm saying. They were disappointed when the colonel said, there was nothing like this kind of water anywhere else. Come on. We got the worst of it. And of course, you see, back in here's the alignment of the song. We just outside of the eye, so the eye's done right over here, and we catching all this water on both sides of the ridge. It had some slight topping. These areas over here. It looked like it might have been a little bit of topping on the west side, but this doesn't indicate it so much. And over here, you back up Lafourche over here, and this is globally here. They showed a lot of water on the inside, and the model's just plain wrong. Now, it doesn't have our latest center line. It had the latest one, which was about a year ago. We've been doing a lot of construction work, and the only place that any kind of ponding took place was over here at Cove. All right, and that was maybe 2 to 3 feet at the most. And the pump on the floor, we were able to take that water out pretty quickly. So basically, we had this category 4 storm pushing water, overtopping maybe 3 places, and putting water, probably a fourth of the system was there a foot. But again, the levee kept the water off. And we talked about the debris and stuff on it, and the overtopping, and how powerful that storm was. And it's the most wind on record that we've ever had in Southeast Louisiana. And for us not to flood is a miracle. Second miracle, nobody died. When you look at the damage of the wind, how many buildings were knocked down? That's a miracle. And then the third one was kind of interesting. I was talking to the people at Global. They just finished the harvest. It's the best harvest they ever had. The one place the water ponded, they did great. So almost kind of unbelievable that such a powerful storm that could have been so destructive, and it was destructive to our houses and other buildings. But storm water was kept down, and so what we're here for will be tremendous success. And this is the center line. And what's kind of interesting is here we might over Lafourche up there with the high going over Lafourche. And right here pivots and then parallels it. Now, if it had not pivoted, it would continue over here. It would have been a lot less painful to us, but it would have done some terrible things that Eastern terrible. When it was populated there, it was even terrible parish. For us, again, it's a critical path with wind and water, with us just being outside of the house. And we went through here and it slowed down to have problems like that. And this one is Zeta from the year before. And you're going to see, you saw the high water elevations here to here, but you never plan for the last storm because every storm is different. High water's going to be different. Zeta, had it stayed as long as Ida did and been as powerful, you would have seen higher water in different areas than you did for this storm. And really, this alignment right here, most storms come from the south or southeast. Every once in a while, Zeta was one of them. Went from west to east. And that's really one of the worst scenarios for us because there's so much open water there in Terrible and Big. A lot of structures. If you remember that this alignment, we saw Brandau really knock down some of that water, Lafourche and some of the coming out of Ridgeland helping out. But it was really kind of interesting the way we had over the storms over the last 2 years and see water levels from different places. And again, I mentioned how the Colonel and other people didn't talk about anything big really happening. It's kind of a little bit too light for me up here. This is not our engineers that were doing this. It's Jason Kennedy worked with the coast, Mitch's, Mitch Harmon and Jason. And he wrote as storm track and intensity, it's hard to imagine a more worst case event for the South Lafourche system than what occurred for Hurricane Ida. One of the greatest success stories that I've ever seen from a flood protection standpoint was the ability of the South Lafourche Levee District flood protection system to withstand and weather the storm surge from Hurricane Ida. 0 homes or businesses were flooded from this event, which is simply remarkable given a storm surge of 12 to 15 feet with significant wave runoff in addition to that. This event far exceeded the criteria for which the system was originally designed, yet it still worked flawlessly. The success of the South Lafourche Levee District system is a great template for organics to the Gulf. It is a shining example of the relentless construction program that must be implemented in order to protect our vulnerable coastal communities against the ever-increasing intensity and frequency of these tropical systems. I don't think we have enough money to pay somebody to write that for us. But the bottom line is, again, no people died, and our systems get the water out. And I think I mean, not because he talks good about the system, but I think he was accurate. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it that way. People need to be able to recognize what actually took place. And I've urged CPRA and the Corps to study. They studied a levee system when the Katrina system here on New Orleans didn't work like it was supposed to. They studied it intensely. Okay, so that was a system that was supposed to hold back that part of that storm, and it didn't. We were not supposed to handle this type of storm, and it did. It should be studied just as much as to say why. Because both of them, you have to ask why, so you can get an accurate situation. Now this work that's going on, again, we don't look at the past storm. We hardly had any flood event in section F, but we're still raising it to the 13-foot elevation. Progress is going really, really well, and we're getting near completion. That's the ramp from Delta Farm Road as we get on section F. And here this is Delta Farm Road over here, and you're leaving outside, going outside the system or going east in this direction. And you can see they're building it all the way to the edge over here where the wall that's built crosses the Delta Farm Road. And that's looking out from station number 7 over here at the corner. Kind of hard to tell, but there's going to be a project they're going to do on this side, start the approach to the gate that's eventually going to cross the coastal canal, and then it's going to come across and then attach to our system. And that's the Tidewater dock area right over here. And then once that's done, I mean, the attack on this side is going to be reduced, and there'll be a floodgate on the opposite side also. It is. Okay. Thank you. We're going to start playing games now. So we're going to hurry up. Move back a little bit. Okay, here we go. Anyway, this is the work on section F and done well. Now, this is the damage part that we had on section E south. And our people have gotten out after it, our engineers and our contractors. And that levee now is in shape. We have more dirt there, it's higher, it's wider, it's shaped completely. And all we need to do is get the grass growing. But it's in better shape now than it was before the storm hit. And of course, it's about the storm. This is north part of Groveland. The debris came all the way across Groveland to the other side. And that's some ruts that the contractor made trying to collect the debris. So we're fixing those ruts. And then this is the north side. And that's the marsh rats that got pushed up. It's hard to tell the difference compared to the levee. Our levee doesn't extend to here. Our levee is actually stopped right here. And that's how thick it was. And then as you go further along, you see it start to sink past where our levee is. Okay? But we still got about 2 feet we have to push off of here to get back our compacted soil and try to get our grass growing again. This is some work that we're doing. We've been wanting to build the road, the ramp at Loop, and the contractors are charging us a bunch of money to do it, and it's cost effective. So that's our people digging from our old spoil pond near the project. So pretty soon we'll be able to start moving forward and holding that elevation height at that Loop Road. This is also near Loop. This is the brine storage reservoir. This is again the debris that built up over here. That's our machine pushing back. And again, it's 2 to 3 feet thick in this area. And again, I showed last time, the brine storage reservoir was the first time it was ever over the top. But just slightly. And this is the work near the LLV farm, the West farm right now. Again, raising that up to 18-foot elevation. It was over top, that material came in the area. What I do this week? Just wait for it to come good, and we have now 18 feet going across on the southern, it's, again, better shape than it was before. And then, of course, this wasn't up, the sheet pile weren't up, we had just a 12-foot elevation, and that water went over. Had we not been delayed by some investigations, some state institutes we're looking at, we would have had this up and not have any water coming in this area for salt. But we're ready for next year, same water elevation, no water gets in the system at this place. And then this is the concrete part that we need to raise. We didn't have a lot of money when we did this, but it actually helped keep the water up. So we'll go back and the seawall that's down here is not very deep, so it's not very sturdy. So we're going to go in with phase 2 and get this in shape and really make it strong, so we don't have to worry about this area at all. And that's showing the height difference. This was the old height, and so we have a wall up here. We'll finish getting that height there, and now I think it's a 17 and this is 18. Again, the new height, get this going, we'll get that up to this height. That's looking toward the corner by this. You can see the work that we've done to the levee. Here's the wall over here, but there wasn't a hell of a lot of washout there. There's a hell of a lot less now. And so it's just keep getting worse and worse. It's hard to believe people used to form this area over here in the turn of the century. Not this century, but I'm thinking 1900. And again, that's looking back toward Yankee Canal, and here's the levee up, and some more shots. Here's pump station number 4, Yankee Canal, right here. And you see again, there was a lot more marsh here. It wasn't solid marsh, but there was a lot more. And this is pump station number 4 looking out, and this is a lot more open than it used to be. But you can see the burn right here. This is, again, a change in our debris policy. It's supposed to be trucked out, causing a lot of problems. But this is that, and it's worked out really well. We're going to pay $25 when we're going to get it out. We got to reduce $11, and it's saved us some money, saved people some money. But the main thing is save all the extra work of going up those trucks with this material. And again, that's looking north from pump station number 4, and we've increased the size of the canal on the side. And then there's actually burning the material. And it's burned a lot better than we expected. That phone's needs to hurry up and do while we're still kind of dry. And we still had, this is some of the old sheet pile we had that we had taken out. This storm really caused some problems. We need to get back in there and replace that. And again, this is we had a little bit of damage before, but this storm really.
Now, Wendell, that sheet pile, was that actually against the toe of the levee?
Not those. There were 2 far out. We had gone out, and now this is the latest repair for the last time we had some damage. And we put it this close, and you can see this. It's went through the same thing that those old sheet pile went through. But because of what's going on in there, and again, these are super powerful. This last storm was really powerful. I mean, 130 miles an hour, really worked up the waves. But this survived it. But we might want to go ahead and spend more money and go ahead and fill in with rocks, because the Corps did 2 segments of levee, globally and around the LLME form. And those, they put sheet pile like this, but they just filled it in with rocks. That friction of the rocks and the pressure of the rocks, I think, stabilized the sheet pile so they don't move at all. So we might look at spending the extra money. You know, it's critical. I think we were doing this at $30 a foot. You start doing rocks. If you did just rocks, you might get $100 to $150 a foot. But if we combine the sheet pile with the rocks, maybe we can do it for maybe $50, $75 a foot. But that's something we have to look at, and we'll get back with the board and see what direction you want to go. Again, this did pretty well for storm. And this is near Apache Dock. I just wanted to show you again how close it came out. One thing too is this debris had not been taken out and taken away. But this is about 4 feet to the top. This is 17 feet above sea level. It's gonna show us what was happening in the middle of the storm, you know, they're watching. And again, just a different angle. I mean, that run up was extremely high. This is where the office used to be. The trailer, yeah. Yeah. This is some repair, that's pump station number 8, that's the southern part of our system, facing the Gulf. And the storm had gouged in around this, and our guys came and patched it up, did a good job, and it's different views of the repair. Again, here's some of the debris that needs to be kind of worked on. Here's the reel on the side. Now, we still have the reel here we have to burn and get out of the way, but it's exposed this part of our levee now before the season. Again, it's being exposed as early as possible. We can get good grass growth by the time August 15th comes around next year. And that's really what our goal is right now. We've done major repairs where we've got to do the damage and place the dirt. Now our goal is to get the grass growth everywhere. Again, this is the west side. We have tons of debris on 7-Eleven again. Work that out. The projects that Ducks Unlimited, ConocoPhillips, the parish, Shipyard, we involved with, we had some damage, but they withstood the storm real well at this point. It's Lafourche, it just really grew out over the past year and a half, and did real well for the storm. It had a couple of holes in it, but it was not at all devastated. Again, it had little holes that did form in it, but it stood, again, under 30 mile an hour winds with the waves that come along with it. This March did real well. Again, other views heading up the levee on the west side. These things are 10 to 12 feet high. We lines that up. Cut some areas to make sure water doesn't fall in between. And again, that's the view heading up. And then this is the debris. This is north of pump station number 2 bullet camp. And we still need to get this off of the levee and start separating the material. We never did finish the inside, so there was some erosion where we were in the process of constructing. So we did have some slides on the side, but again, the levee held up real well, even with the little problem yet. Again, here's the top of the levee. We can get this off, and here you still have, and you can't burn it until you get this other track out of the way. So this still needs a lot of work, and that's the only area. We've got good progress, but the west side north of station 2 bullet camp needs to be worked on. And this is, again, the reason that has been pushed off. Get this burned up. This is the work near Paul's Farm, north of the intersection of Morganza. And we're raising that from 13 to 16, and that was no longer with the contractor moving it. Reed's helped us out. Put this picture here to show that, there's no more bank. In fact, actually, it's just broken out everywhere. So there used to be a little bit of a bank in this area here, but now it's wide open. So what we're looking at doing, I want to kind of approach this idea to you. You still have some spoil banks from the old Texaco field over here. And I'll get with the parish to see if they have any. They used to have permits that we could do some work in here. But I was thinking if we see this spoil bank right here on the east bank of this pipeline canal, or location canal, if we go in and start maintaining this over here, that's a good break for any wave action coming from a lake, and kind of stop that and knocking some of the energy down before it gets to this corner. The levee, here's the park that goes in the middle. So we can come from here, and of course we've got this wash hook over here to help it take to the levee. So take this oil bank and raise it, maintain it, maybe make a little wash on the side of it, and then try to find some of the other banks over here to block the direct flow of Catfish Lake and the wave that can come from it to hit up in this corner. So that's something we're going to be working on a little bit this year. And see if there's any permits out there. And I believe that's it.
Linda, what's been done for the damage on the Raphael project?
What did you ask that question? The contractors, with our contract, with Phil and some of the other contractors we met, in fact, met in John's office. and they came up, just came up with a repair plan, and
I
I'm
know
sure.
today, the road was really heavily damaged by the trucks hauling the debris out, and the LP&L, the construction work.
Yeah, we had three contractors working by them, they all damaged it, but different degree, and they talked about it, and contractors get a proposal to how to repair it, and how to split that cost, and they agreed, and no big fight, and that started today, right?
It started on yesterday.
Started this morning. Good. And we brought in the land owner, about Walls Road, and they were happy with what we're doing, and any discussion about that, Phil?
As of right now, we started this morning, and Jay from Schwess has been out there, and everybody is agreed. Entergy has agreed to pay 60% of the cost. Dynamic, which is the debris contractor, is paying 25%, and Sea Level, who's working for the Levee District, has agreed to pay 15%. Everybody has agreed to a certain portion of work that they're going to do. We started this morning.
And if you get it repaired before the rain starts, it should.
We're hoping to finish less than 10 days. That's our goal.
That would be great. So, yeah, that was a big problem. All that work and the storm caused the problems. But this is one this was set a lot better than I thought it might be.
Question. You talked about protecting the toll of the levee. What kind of funds are available? Where do we get the funds to do that going forward? That's got to become a priority pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
a sheet metal and
we had our engineers put a dream list together. That I showed you last week. But that was part of the expense. That was basically thinking, okay, what can we do to get the levee in good shape as possible? Came up to $48 million. And it would be nice with the success that we had, everything, if we get that. But we don't get it, we're going to go and hit like we've always done, hit the worst spots first, and just keep going around. And we talked about the priority plan to do that. But we made the request everywhere. We're going to FEMA, we're going to CPRA, we're going to the capital outlay. And we've also talked to federal people, but that basically translates to the Corps of Engineers, which means it's going to be slow and expensive. Okay, so we don't know if anything is going to come out of that, but if something does come out, we'll be ready to expend the funds and improve the system. But at this point, we're in good shape, but just we need to get better because everything around us is not getting better. And we'll keep on improving that as long as we can. Whatever money we take in, we'll use that to make the levy better. I'm going to answer what you. All right. I'll go to these issues of bid opening for hunting and fishing lease. The people who had said they were interested in putting a bid in, they went prior to the lease and saw there was no land. And so they decided not to put in a bid. It's Hackberry Bid, about the line between Jefferson Parish and us, and they just built it. I mean, it was turning from a hunting to a more fishing, but it was nothing on it. So they decided not to bid the lease, but we'll see what the future brings. There's an IGA with CPRA putting into the agreement the crawfish on flood wall in Middleport, and we need for the board to agree to that amendment. That just puts that into the queue for that construction. So we need a motion and second.
Okay, we have a recommendation of our general manager to go ahead and approve the amendment number 2, approved based on our attorney's advice for the intergovernmental agreement with CPR and Levee. Moved by Rose, second by Rich. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Thank you. And we'll talk about the debris removal. There's been great progress, but just lately it's not slowed down a lot. I asked Phil along with the Ramones to give us a report
Right now with the debris removal, we're probably 70 to 80% complete. We're hoping to have the entire east side finished this week. Just about all the work has been done. My goal is not to have any trucks or any equipment going down Raphael Road once it's completed. So the west side, we've made considerable progress. There's still a few areas, Reach L, which we've had some difficulties. It's still inaccessible in most spots because of the water. We have not touched Reach L yet, but for the most part, I would say we probably, majority of it has been picked up. We still have a good bit of burning to do, and we still have some creosote to be hauled. So it's gone a little slower than we'd like. We're probably found success. We've lowered the costs to the South Lafourche Levee District and to FEMA, but we're having difficult finding as many trucks to come to work for us at lower rates. But, my goal is to have the majority of it finished end of December, mid-January.
Phil, it just seems like the last couple of weeks, I mean, it's hardly anybody out there working. I mean, there's anything we can do to encourage them? Or, you know, I know, if I remember right, you said that we can actually look at another contract if we needed to.
Our contract doesn't allow us to bring in an additional contractor if we need to, if we choose to. We've contacted some of the other bidders in the original package, and they have chose not to work at the reduced prices. So my fear would be we want to keep this contractor and hold his feet to the fire, because I don't believe we'll get anybody else to complete it for the price that we have right now.
Phil, with the damage in Kentucky, do you think that will affect the contractor down here?
Yes, sir. I told Wendell my personal feeling. I haven't been told anything yet, but nature of the beast, a lot of these guys are going to pick their trucks up and go to the next disaster. But I believe the contractor that we've contracted with, local, dynamic, I think they're going to make good on their promise. I think it's just going to be a little more, the project is going to last longer than what we'd like.
As long as it's done.
We're getting it done. Slower than we'd like, but it's getting done.
And at this point, again, where the damage has been done, where the levee down was cleared up, the number of things we want to do, well, repair those areas. But it's just, until we get that stuff off, we can't get the grass rolling, until we get the grass rolling, the best.
The permit, or the arrangement, we have the agreement to allow us to burn the debris. Is there a time limit on that, or that's till it's done?
Till it's done.
So even if it's slow, we can still continue doing that and not have any problems there.
Yes, sir.
And again, and even getting it to hurry and burn, because look, I don't know, I can't remember when it's been this dry, okay? And it's perfect for the situation to burn stuff, and we need to hurry, and for some reason we're still having problems with them to just burn, which is, to me, the easy thing. Is there anything else we can do to speed that up?
We address it almost on a daily basis, and obviously the contractor is erring on the side of caution. I mean, when there's winds, and we don't want to violate our permit. So with getting things out of control or having another problem, so we're trying to burn as often as we can, but within the guidelines of the permit.
I know a couple of guys could have burned that in no time at all. Unfortunately, they both died. They burned quite a few things.
Was it fire related?
Okay.
Okay, let me discuss that money. We just trying to get some type of lease situation set up so we can take care of capital outlay funding. We have gotten permission from capital outlay facility planning, plus a transfer of that 1.8 million to the flood wall situation at the Lafourche Pond. So we'd like for the board to pass a resolution addressing and putting that money toward the flood wall.
Okay, you heard a recommendation by general manager to transfer the $1.8 million commitment to go towards the flood wall and the crawfish ponds.
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen, your wishes. Moved by Rose, second by Keith, and it is, Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Okay. Section that burn improvement. We had to read.
That's, also with that amendment, amendment 2,
Yeah.
include section F.
Okay. So we want to, again, with amendment number 2 also includes the section that burn money. So we pass a resolution agreeing to adding the section that burn to the agreement.
You need to do that now.
Yeah.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of our general manager to do what he just said to do. Moved by Monty, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
We still do have some work on section D South Levee improvement. There is a little bit of dirt left, and we had to actually extend our right of way from the, basically it's one of the Schwest companies that is managing that land. And so we just need to increase it, and that's all we did is change it. It's still a donated right of way, and it just, they agreed to extend the right of way. We just need to give us the right to sign that extension.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of our general manager to go ahead and give it the authority to sign the acceptance and the extension of this right-of-way agreement. Your wishes, gentlemen? Moved by Max, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And we talked about the Wolf Corridor barrier project. I'd like to put the past resolution, I'm not sure if we did before or not, but I just want to make sure we do, to allow the president, myself, to sign any agreements that lead to the construction of the project.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of our general manager to allow either myself or the general manager to sign whatever agreements are necessary to get this project going. Your motion, moved by Monty, second by Dolan. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
We already talked about that spoil bank at Catfish Gate, they'll take that corner. The repair of the Ontario lock, concrete mat, one side, we get a picture of it. For the store on one side, that we have the concrete matting that came to the sheet pile. It just eroded away, all the way to the sheet pile. We need to repair that, and I want the board to pass a resolution saying that.
What's involved in repairing it?
Well, that's putting some dirt and some more matting. I don't think it's gonna cost a lot. I think we can get the dirt right there with the old bypass channel. It's filled in, so
Right.
we think we have enough material right there. It's gonna be a relatively inexpensive job. I still like the board to approve for us to do what it takes.
The bad with those roll-out deals that you wet, or that was.
Oh, no, it's gonna be matting,
So
concrete
cement
squares or something.
squares.
Cables, yeah, that'll lock in.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineers to go ahead and get this project going. No wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Mitch, second by Monty. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Yeah, there's an area between, the form, Schwest form and Loop, that's called North and South Reading Connect. And makes a little bit of a horseshoe, and we were over top in that area for the storm. And it's a relatively small area, but I think we need to address it first. There's some other areas along there we might need to address, but I'd like y'all to give us the right to do with, whatever project we need, authorization to build that up a little bit harder than it is right now.
Would that be contracted out, or would we do with our own?
That's what I'm saying, I'm looking at, it's not a big area, and it could be within the money that we're authorized to spend, but just in case it's not, I'd like to be able to move forward with it.
Okay, heard the request of our general manager, your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Rowland, second by Rowland. Any discussion? favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
So we're gonna be rolling with that project.
Rolling along, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, engineer reports, CPRA, David, Daniel, I mean,
Where's Dave? David's taking it there. Yeah, Daniel here with CPRA. At the last board meeting window, you asked if I would check on the 2022 Go Mesa funding earmarked for South Lafourche. I was able to confirm $2 million is locked in for the 2022 Go Mesa. Now,
2 million, you said?
yeah, 2 million. That's the latest that I was told to me today. So I do show that these would be contributing to the F-burn and the Little Rose football protection barrier. I mean, I don't know if they're tied to that necessarily, but you know, you guys you talked about the agreements already on that and did the actions for the tied it to Amendment 2 execution. So, but yeah, just confirm it is in the Go Mesa, it is in the annual plan.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
That's it.
okay, any questions, Daniel? Thank you, Daniel. Okay, Mr. Associate, Joe?
Yes, on our levee section, we have improvements. Onshore Materials, a contractor, he's been making really good progress in the last month since we have had good weather. He's got the part on the north side pretty much complete. He's still working a little bit around the pump station. They have been hauling material on the southern portion of the job in the area of the farm. Cloverly Farms, that is, and he's going to begin grading and shaping that material soon. So he has submitted pay application number 8 in the amount of $590,657.75, and we do recommend you approve that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay offshore materials, pay request number 8 in the amount of $590,657.75. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Earlman, second by Brian. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And the lock project, we've been working with the Army Corps of Engineers to get our approval. We just have a few outstanding items to get them for approval. That's supposed to be done soon. We also need to talk about, I guess, with Ryan and with Ray about right-of-ways. We've kind of been talking to Ray, that was prior to the storm or just after the storm, but so we're going to need to start moving on that also. But everything's lining up to be ready to go to bid sometime right after the first part of next year.
Well, again, we need that money from CPRA to be locked in before we can go forward.
Yes. Section D South showed some pictures. Outer Limits contractor is a contractor. It's got most of the flood side and the crown complete. He's been working on the protected side, berm and slope. We did show also the area that we're going to excavate inside the borrow, near the pump station in the borrow canal. So they're going to start working on that sometime next week. They're making good progress. They're looking really good. We do have pay application for number 4 in the amount of $44,390, and we recommend you pay that.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay request number 4 to Outer Limits in the amount of $44,390. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Monty. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Joe, if you have regular wet, how long do you think before they come?
Let's say 3 months.
Really, think 3 months? That much more material?
Yeah. I mean, you gotta consider that you're hauling it from a wet borrow pit, so they're going to dry out a little bit and shit. On E-North levee improvements, we also showed pictures that Onshore Materials and Campo and Sons are working on the emergency repairs. Onshore was hauling, but they're now done and off the site. Their hauling work is done. Campo is still out there doing final dressing, working from east to west. Onshore Materials has submitted their last pay application in the amount of $360,555. We recommend you approve that.
$360,550. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Mitch, second by Monty. Okay, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
We also have the application number 2 from Campo and Sons for $29,450 even, and we do recommend you pay that.
Okay, also, they requested the two Copeland Sons in the amount of $29,450 as recommended by our engineers. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Brett, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
So the Hurricane Ida storm damage repairs to the pump stations. Grand Isle Shipyard is the contract on that project. We held a pre-construction meeting on November 30th. Notice to proceed was given on December 6th last week. They will begin replacing roof panels and panels on pump station number 1 and number 2 to try to get them in the dry first. They expected to start any day. Last week they were working on getting material and getting mobilized. There's a lot of electrical repairs also to the pump stations, in addition to roof and metal side.
And that costs,
The bid was just over $1 million, 1.2 million
For all stations.
for all of them, and some repairs to the locks.
and that is reimbursable by insurance. Subject.
And Amy, how much, we said, we looked at, what would be our cost. Now what, the deductible is $250?
Right, we budgeted 400, but the
Just we say we budget $400,000 for anything, if something wasn't covered properly, or, I would still have to do, but we had the $250 deductible, and gave a little cushion just in case there's anything.
And Hurricane Ida damage repairs to the main office and mechanic shop. This contract is for the demolition portion. Ori Contracting Group still a little bidder in the amount of $56,266.89. We approved that at the last meeting. The contract documents complete. We'll be holding a pre-construction meeting and give them a notice to proceed shortly. They're going to work on the mechanic shop first, get that cleaned out, and then work on the office next.
Any questions, Joe? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, GIS, we have John or Laura? Okay.
So the first update is the A East Bayou water retention. As Wendell mentioned earlier, we finally got the core permits. The plans and specs are complete at this time. It's just continually coordinating with the pipeline and utilities, satisfying their requirements to cross their lines. And then servitude agreements have been sent to Ray for his review. So once we get the servitudes and the pipeline crossings, that one's ready to bid. The next up.
Question, on the, the AES is gonna be the part of the Lafourche part. What's the latest berm elevation on that area?
Even assuming we have it, I haven't looked at that in quite a while.
Because I mean, our levy that was building is gonna be what, a +3, right?
It's gonna be a +3,
So
it's gonna
basically,
go on to the berm.
the +3 came in on that side. And again, because I know the berm's a little low, I'm just wondering if, if we start holding up the 3 feet of water, if it's gonna go over the two, the berm.
If you're holding more than 3 feet of water, it's gonna be on, I mean, it's not the total levee itself, but it's gonna be well up on the berm.
Maybe we'll take a look at it, just to make sure.
Okay, moving on.
All right. So the D-South flood wall on phase 1, that project is now substantially complete. We did an inspection on Friday. The only remaining items for the punch list, there's some touch-up painting they need to seed and fertilize, and a little bit of cleanup. But at their next meeting, I'll do a substantial completion recommendation. So the first item that you have on the agenda is the balancing change order. This is change order number 5, and that is actually an overall credit to the project in the amount of $36,720.
And the firm involved in this,
I'm sorry,
the company involved in this is?
Sea Level.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to have a change order number 5, which will be a credit to us from Sea Level in the amount of $36,720. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Mitch, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
All right, and the next item is pay request number 8 that we have reviewed and approved and recommended for payment, and that is in the amount of $79,078.
That also be pay request number 8 amount to Sea Level of $79,070. No wishes, gentlemen. Move by Roland, second by Brian, excuse me. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
All right, so still on DSouth, but not on your agenda, just a quick update. So Hurricane Ida, the big outstanding item there is the Rocky Hill Project Road that we've now talked about, and that work began today, so it should be good. And then the areas of scour, which were a big deal from Ida, the fill materials have been placed and then the scour mats installed. And then the phase 2, we are issuing the notice of award based on moving the funds from DSouth to Sea Level. The next project is D-North Ramp. We also talked about that. These crews are excavating material and stockpiling that so that it can be used when we go out to bid on raising the ramp. And then last but not least, Grand Bayou Floodgate. Both the flood wall receiving structure and the gate are substantially complete. The punch list is complete on the receiving structure. I do have 2 items under there. The first is balancing change order number 14, and that is in the amount of a credit, $74,781.63, and that is for Sea Level as well.
Okay, you heard a recommendation of engineers to balance the change order number 14 to Sea Level, the amount of credit of $74,781.63. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Marty, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And also for Sea Level, they submitted pay request number 26 for the flood wall and receiving structure, and that is in the amount of $189,267.11, and we do recommend payment.
So the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away even more.
Yeah.
Okay, you heard recommendations, request number 26 to Sea Level in the amount of $189,267.11. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Marty, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
And then last item, on Hurricane Ida update, Sea Level completed all the cleanup at the laydown yard and at the site. And the only thing I believe that is still outstanding, is that right, is the paving of Temple? Or do I need to touch base with Lafourche again?
I'm sorry.
The paving of Temple Lane.
Oh, yes, yes, I get it. Well, in fact, we talked to Jules about that, so, orgies along with
We talked to the parish about it, and they're willing to put it on the next project. If they're not, and we're ready to move forward with the next project, depending on their giving us the notice to proceed.
So it's in line.
It's in line to be done.
Yeah. That's the.
So Lucy calls a
the
little.
road is being used to take care of those sections.
No, I won't, I'll just say it's in the
Cage and the lot. I'm not saying the lot, but what, yeah.
The big trucks tore it up, and
Oh, yeah, yeah, some heavy traffic, heavy material, and so, it was used a lot, and, the contractor kept it up fairly well, and now we've got to get it back in shape like it was before. It's going to be needed in the future, so it's good to keep on the right side.
Yeah, the front part of the drive was asphalt and the back was limestone, so they just kind of maintained it all with
Yeah, so the first project is the V North and V South Levee project. This was the project from the base on pump station down to the Golden Meadow Park that Pontchartrain Partners was a contractor on. That work is complete. The project's paid for. We just want to formalize the work that the board had approved previously as a change order number 3. So this is no new money. This has already all been approved and paid. But the change order number 3 is going to be for additional contract time of 481 days for the work that was added, and a net increase from the previous change order of $2,206,470.81. And we're recommending approval of that change order.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to have the acknowledgement change order for Pontchartrain Partners for the amount that's your wishes, gentlemen. Move on back, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
All right, on C-South, this is from the Apache Forum down to the base on pump station. That contractor ran out Shipyard's continuing with work on the project. Looking at what's going on right now, we think there's probably about a month and a half to 2 months of work left. There are some areas that the contractor has concern that they may be a little short of material. So we're working with them on where we can get additional material within the vicinity. We think there's still some additional material there that we can obtain. So we'll keep Wendell updated on that, but that work is continuing.
Okay.
On the roads, flood wall height improvements, this is in the roads along the Intracoastal Canal. They contracted sea level construction is continuing. It looks like they'll be done either end of the year or mid-January with all the coating. All the structural improvements are complete, and it's just doing some final painting right now on the project. We recommend approval of their payout number 8 in the amount of $11,566.18.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of engineers to pay request number 8, the sea level for $11,566.18. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Brett, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Any questions, Neil? Thank you, Neil. Delta Coast Consultants. No one mentions here. Okay, all South Consulting Engineers.
Yes, the emergency rehabilitation on Reach K, Phase 2, which was done by sea level, is now complete. We're just waiting on that final pay application for us to make a recommendation. As far as B, supply and deliver material, they have cleared their lien period, so we also are waiting for the pay application, and at that time we will recommend payment. There's no notifications of any lien materials. And the Reach K Hurricane Ida response, there was scouring and material loss. The project has, the Reach K levee has been surveyed, and we are presently comparing the new data with the existing data that was we had on file prior to Ida, and we'll have some written reports and recommendations soon.
Now, let me get something straight. You're just giving us this as information, correct?
That is correct.
Because of our agreement with Javon, that they will pay, whatever payments will come from them, so you will not be requiring or asking us to come up with money to pay. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
Okay. That's it. Any questions of Phil? Thank you. Okay, moving on to legal permits and rights of way. Mitch?
Okay, we have 4 permits this month. Hillport Energy Company, the first one, Hunt Telecom, North Lafourche Levee District, and Bollinger Fouchon. After reviewing the 4, looking at the board to approve these 4 permits.
Okay, you've read the report and the recommendation by Mitch that these permits be issued. I need a second to that motion. Roland? All in favor, signify. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Mr. Attorney? Okay. Finance Committee, Monty?
Okay, the Finance Committee met and reviewed all invoices and recommended they be paid as presented.
Okay, you've heard a recommendation by our Finance Committee Chairman, Monty, to pay all invoices as presented, seconded by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Personnel personnel committee, we'll have the personnel committee after this meeting, or?
That's correct.
Okay, we'll lay it down. Insurance committee, Roland?
Nothing new to report. I just done.
Okay. That does it, guys. Any old business? Any new business?
Well, I forgot to mention that, you know, with the debris, Phil's company, come up with an estimate on what our share would be. And it looks like the total cost is gonna be around $7 million of federal money at our money. And our share of that $7 million is $475,000. So when you look at it, with our deductible and with this, the cost of the storm dust, looks like it's gonna be the ballpark of about $800,000. Which considering the storm that was, and that we kind of came all right, and then we got the new insurance companies before, they wrote that, looks like that's working all right. Now, I mentioned last meeting, and I maybe didn't say the whole list of people, but it's a good time to talk about it again, because of the success of the system for the storm. The people, when we really expanded the system the last time, a lot of controversy, but a lot of big lawsuits and everything. But these people donated the property because they knew that this day would come. And that everybody's success was based on that system working. So I just want to go through who donated the last set of large right-of-way that we increased. But LL&E, large portion. Mr. and Mrs. David Carey, GIS, donated a couple of tracks. Patrick and Nadine P. donated 3 tracks. Lynn and Anita Disco donated 3 tracks. Blanchard Contractors donated 4 tracks. Mr. and Mrs. Dudley Gibby, that's right, and also Steve and Carolyn Hanover. And you know, with all the trouble that came out of all that work, and the lawsuits and everything else, these people donated, and it showed their wisdom in donating that property. And I also want to, I've been around here a long time, and you guys, we've been very fortunate that our elected officials have appointed people like you. I started in 1980, and it's been continually doing the right thing for the right reasons, keeping water out of people's homes and businesses. Again, all of that work, all the sacrifice, all the time that y'all put in, and all of the people that have served on the board, we've had all this time. And so, congratulations to everybody. But that doesn't mean next year is going to be good, you know. So we got to keep on getting better. So you know, I want to thank y'all for all that work.
Thank you for you and also the field personnel.
Well, and look, I'm going to talk about the field. Again, that night, when we tried 3 times to get out, tell the story again, and it was just too powerful. Fire department finally said the whole lane was kind of clear. When I say kind of clear, you had to go in the other lane opposite direction to get to the couple spots. Our guys went out there in 3 different teams, had to find new ways to get to where we were headed, the pump stations and the flush gates. Some of our guys out there with saws, cutting trees and telephone poles, and actually, we basically, by the morning, had visited every site and finally got all sites cleared. Now that was on, the Monday, okay? But Thursday, we had everything working. That wasn't working easily. People had to do extraordinary things to make all the pump stations work right and everything. But everything was working. And like I said, at the same time that we did that, the port was working at their job to get the port ready. And although you couldn't have navigation because so many boats had sunk in the middle of the body, you couldn't have traffic, they were ready to go too. So again, it's just a compliment to our people and our the 2 boards and the work they did. Fire department, I got to tell that story. You know, talk to them as they get phone calls and as we kept the water out, but the wind, nothing we could do it. You know, the tremendous amount of houses that were completely just knocked down. They had reports of people getting people out of that rubble. The fire department, 56 people they took out, commandeered a school bus and set up a little place for them at Golden Meadow Junior High. And bring them home. But none of that would have been possible if there would have been 10 feet of water. And a lot of people would have died out here. So there's no doubt, and most of the people I talk to, there's no doubt in their mind that had we not been able to keep the water out, that we would have had pretty long fatality risk. But again, terrible damage from the wind, no people died. So stop and think about, and just makes us, gotta work harder for next year, because we needed every inch of litter to stop, and we don't know what's gonna do next year, so, yeah. Thank you, whatever we go.
So, when we got saved by the bell this time, and what happens after the new road comes in, the rolling meadow, which is below sea level, and our levers would fail, and we have to pump out the system before they can get the Fouchon. If we got water, they'd have water down the bayou too, they couldn't go through.
Yeah, I mean, and what it,
We gotta go.
no, but what's gonna happen if something, if you get over top of the point of the system,
But we-
the storm, the water south of us is gonna leave quicker than we get out of the system. Now, of course, at that time, we've had that before for one. For one, what we did is, we actually floated some boats into the pump station. They got the pumps running, you know, with water in the pump stations. Once we were able to close the bullet camp and a couple of other spots. So what you do is you pump the water out, but again, the 4-lane highway is going to be underwater, so there will be no traffic to Fouchon until we can clear what's in there, even though the road's going to be elevated.
So what I'm getting to is that with the new infrastructure bill, we should have our name on top of the list to put our levers a little higher, a little stronger, just for that reason. With the gateway to the Gulf, with the gate, if you can't go through the gate, you can't get to the Gulf.
One of the problems that we've always had is that the political needs of the industry always a little bit ahead of what we needed, and we have our friends on the side that are behind us. It's hard for us to argue, give us a heck of a lot more money when we haven't flooded since 1985. Everybody else around us flooded. It's been, well, I was talking to some people the other day. After a while, statewide flood control, the way that program works, if you show flood damage, you can go get money. Well, we flooded in '85, and I got most of our pump stations paid 70% on statewide flood control. Well, I can't go to them anymore because we're not flooding, you know. And other people are getting that money, but we still do need do need to make the improvements that we talked about. That 48 million is not a joke. We have to get our system as good as it is, but we are ahead of the 100-year flood, so we have to look at that. But we still got to do the best way we can to get the money we need to keep the water out. But you bring up the point. The elevated highway will be done, so whatever improvements to that elevated highway basically have to come to the levee. The levee has to protect the, what do you call it, not elevated, de-elevated part of the road inside the system. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that's the point of it. So now LA1 Coalition is going to be behind raising the levees that protects the road. So it is going to open up our ability to maybe do a little bit more.
I mean, we got a lot of people that we can talk to and beg, borrow, whatever it takes to, all the way down the chain, all the way up to the president of the United States,
Well, we just have to
You have to know what's going on down here.
Right, but we just have to find the people who give them money.
That's right.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll be discussing this till midnight tonight. First of all, I'll notify that we will be having an election of officers at our next meeting, and also the assignment of committees. If any of you on a committee, you wish to change committees, move to another committee, please let us know before the next meeting so we can make those changes. Now, I entertain a motion of adjournment. Moved by Matt, Monty. Second by Mitch. Second by Mitch. All in favor, signify by saying aye.